The Met locations in Lumiose City suck. They're all numbers, which are for nerds, and colors, which are kinda boring. Hi, I'm Haunted, and I wasn't satisfied with my cool shinies having lame Met locations, so I've spent the past few days coming up with a solution. I'll be damned if I let some rich CEO lady tell me where I'm allowed to catch my Pokemon. As you can see here, I have this shiny Alpha Garchomp with a Met location at the Justice Dojo, which is much cooler than just Area 20, which is where it was actually found. So today, I'm gonna show you exactly how to do what I've personally been calling jailbreaking. We got crimes to do, so let's get into it. So how I discovered this was actually an accident. I had seen Pokemon escape wild zones before, but I had never attempted to replicate it on purpose just because I didn't see a reason to. But this time, I happened to be setting up the Zone 20 Alpha Overload glitch and luring things to the gate on purpose when I had an Alpha Frostlass follow me out. After putting down a save and trapping it outside, I quickly realized that I could continue to use the same method I was using to move the Alpha spawns to bait the Frostlass further and further away from Zone 20. I was running out of daylight, so I settled on Estival Avenue to test my hypothesis, and sure enough, when I caught the Frostlass, its description said that it was met on Estival Avenue, and not Route 20. So now I had my proof of concept. The Met location when you do this will be wherever you catch it, not where its original spawner was. Big red bold disclaimer or whatever, I'm not sure what kind of problems this could cause with Pokemon home legality in the future, so do this at your own risk. But what exactly did I do? Allow me to break it down step by step with my Garchomp as an example. Step 1 is to find an eligible Pokemon to do this with. As far as I've been able to find in my testing, there are only some Pokemon that can do this, and the ones that can all have 2-turn moves that essentially teleport them to their target. The list of moves that can be used for this are Fly, Dig, Bounce, Phantom Force, and Flying Press. And the list of Pokemon that this can be done with are the ones listed on screen. There are a lot of them that only get these moves as alphas, so those are marked as such. And if you're hunting Excadrill specifically, please keep in mind that while the normal Excadrill gets Dig, Alpha Excadrill does not. It's also worth noting that changing the Met location will also work with Pokemon you find outside of zones. So Pokemon you can find throughout the city are fair game too, and will just need to skip the next 2 steps since it won't need to break out of the wild zone. Now that you have a target picked out, step 2 is to lure it. You want to get the Pokemon as close to the gate as possible, and when it de-aggroes you, put down a save and restart your game. When you reboot, you'll have moved its spawner over to wherever it was when you saved. If you've done the Zone 20 Alpha glitch, you'll be very familiar with how this works. And by the way, I highly suggest making sure that it's as early in the day cycle as possible when you first start moving your Pokemon, because the game switching over tonight, or any loading screen for that matter, will undo all of your progress and make your life really hard. Step 3 is very similar. You're going to want to go back and get the Pokemon's attention, and then wait for it to use one of its 2-turn moves. As soon as the animation happens for the first part of the move, you're good to exit the gate. The moment you do, the Pokemon should land its attack on you outside of the zone, and then pretty much immediately lose interest. When this happens, save and reset the game, same as before. You've now successfully moved the Pokemon spawn outside of the wild zone, and the jailbreak has begun. Step 4 is where it gets fun. This is the point where you want to figure out your destination and place a marker to start moving towards. While Lumiose City is pretty lacking in terms of interesting outdoor locations, there are still a few neat ones. For instance, my example Garchomp, who I lured over to the Justice Dojo to have that as a Met location. I thought the dojo would be an interesting one for Garchomp since it's something that I want to use in ranked, and catching it there adds that extra little bit of a competitive vibe. Of course, you're not limited to the Justice Dojo for this. There's Espace Vide, I don't speak French, which means empty space, which could be pretty cool for ghost types. There's also Quasartico Inc., which would be a pretty cool place to catch a Drampa with the Alolan palm trees as a backdrop. You can also actually catch Pokemon with Met locations inside of the malls, which can be difficult since you're not allowed to throw Pokeballs indoors. I found that catching them in the doorway will still result in the Met location being inside the mall, even if you're outside. You can even take Pokemon into another wild zone if for some reason you wanted to do that. Though come to think of it, a shiny Alpha Garchomp from Zone 1 would be kind of funny. There's some more experimenting I have to do to figure out the hard limits of where else you could take Pokemon, but you should have a pretty good idea of what locations you can use based off of these examples. If you're unsure, just go there, and if it's a named location on the save screen, it'll work as a Met location too. So now that you have one picked out, it's time for the final step. This part is easy, but it can take a while depending on what location you decided on and how cooperative your Pokemon wants to be. This is why I mentioned earlier that you're gonna want to make sure to have as much daylight to work with as possible. What you want to do here is repeatedly lure the Pokemon as far as it will follow you, and then as soon as it loses interest, put down a hard save, restart your game, and repeat. Eventually, you'll get to your destination where you'll want to make sure to save your game while your target Pokemon is standing within the boundaries of the desired Met location. Again, it doesn't matter where you're standing, but it does matter where the Pokemon is. From this point, you're free to restart your game, take all the screenshots you want, and finally catch your Pokemon. As a quick demonstration, here's the entire thing step by step. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is I am going to want to clear out these guys who are going to harass me when I'm trying to lure things towards the gate and make it hard for me to save. And I don't have any alphas right now that have moves that can get out of the gate, so I can really just continue to fast travel and reset until I find one. Okay, so there is a Alpha Stunfisk, which gets bounced, so we can use that. Let me just get rid of this Metagross first, and we will be good to go. Wrong guy. My bad. Alright, so I have cleared out my path. I have a Frostlass right there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start luring her out. There we go. Just come on, walk this way a little further. Come across the bridge. Where you want them is across the bridge, at least. And then they de-aggro you, and you can save. And then when you reboot your game and open it up, that is where her new spawn will be. And you can really get close to the gate now. It's gonna take a bit of dodging their attacks so you don't die. Because that will mess this up. Do not die. Dying, not good. There. And if I can, I like to actually get them on the gate and then exit and save. Because then what you could do is you could just enter and like literally just spam roll here until it uses Phantom Force or whatever the applicable move is. Oh, there it is. And there it is. She's outside. We can save. We just immediately don't have aggro. Then we close our game again. And she is outside and already using Phantom Force again. Okay. So what I've done is I have marked the staircase to the Justice Dojo, since you kind of got to like go around the back to get in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just walking her this way as far as she'll let me take her. And as soon as that breaks, I save and I reset my game again. And with this one, I should be able to get her onto the stairs, but it's still going to take another save or two to like actually get her into the dojo. I'm just using the dojo as an example because it's pretty close to zone 20, so you can get the gist. But if you wanted to go further, you definitely could. Just make sure that you have enough time of day. Because if it switches over in the middle of you doing this, it's all fucked. It won't work. Alright, Phantom Force. I'm just gonna turn and run as far as I can. I went a little too far, I think. Yeah. So she's gonna go back to where we first left her on this save. Let's try that again. See, that can happen, but it's still pretty forgiving. As long as there's no load screens, you should, or you don't die. Just don't die. Okay, that's a lot of Blizzard. And we're just gonna walk her back around this corner until she decides, to hurt us with lightning. But until she decides to lose interest. Which I think she's gonna, there we go. And then we should be able to get her in there on the next one, because it's not actually that far away. Like, it is around the corner, but technically it's just, like, in there, so it's not actually that far. Come on. There we go. We got a Phantom Force, so we could literally just make a run for it. I think going around corners when they use Phantom Force maybe is a no-no. Because that's what's broken at both times. Stupid wild zones don't count? Well, how about this? Like, does it break when you go around a corner with Phantom Force? No, I think I just went too far. She just spams Blizzard. There we go. I should be able to at least get her in here. And there we go. Oh, I lost her aggro for a second, and I would have been able to save if I were quicker. Sorry, ladies. Sorry about the blizzard. Sorry. Okay, and I really don't want to die. So, she's in here, and I can just actually, like... Okay, she's actually gonna Phantom Force me. Hold on. But what I can do is... Oh, my god. Lady? That was not the time. There we go. So what I can do is I could just go around the corner and lose her line of sight and save. And she was in there when I saved. So even though I'm out here, when I restart the game, she will still be in there. So let me just, first of all, get the right ball ready. Psych. Okay. Now, we've done all this correctly, and her Met location is the Justice Dojo. As you can see, it's actually way easier than you would think to kind of just alter where the Met locations of things are. Now, obviously, this was a pretty easy example because it wasn't that far, but it's pretty much the same regardless of how far you go. Like, that took all of, I don't know, 5 minutes to get her that far, so it would take you, at most, 10 to get her pretty much anywhere. Luckily for this girl, you can actually go out and train in the wild, outside of the wild zones. You just have to break some stuff first. So that's how you break a Pokemon out of the wild zones. I'm sure there's more that could be done with this that we'll figure out in the future, or maybe they'll patch it tomorrow and drone strike my house. Who knows? But if you do make any discoveries of cool things that you could do with this, I'd love it if you let me know in the comments. And while we're at it, please subscribe if you made it this far. I normally do shiny hunting here, and will definitely be using this method on hunts in the future. But for now though, I've got to go get the Looker Bureau off my ass for quote-unquote assisting a jailbreak. Until next time though, I've been Haunted, and I'll be seeing ya. Later!